Peter Ridd raises over $520,000. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian Heise here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Let's grab our stein of coffee and have a look at the latest in the Peter Ridd free speech and JCU, well, debacle, really what it's turning into. Now here we have an article from the Fin Review. Now before we go through this, because, well, we're going to see there's an inherent bias in it. Let's jump over and have a look at what Peter has said on his 2 crowdfunding campaigns. Now, he was sacked from JCU regarding some comments he made, well, critical of some of his colleagues in the university. It's an academic environment. You're meant to be able to handle criticism, and particularly, well, they just hammered him. Some of the arguments are, well, being put forward is that he risked their funding source. That's why people think the university is going so hard, because it's James Cook University. I met him and had a talk to him at a conference just in passing, and it was interesting how he was telling me, you know, there's no scientific basis to some of the claims that are being made, particularly with regards to sediment going onto the reef. And he should know, because he was involved in inventing the equipment to manage it, or measure it. So let's have a look at what they're saying here on the old funding page, just to get a bit of an overview. So, dear all, we've just received JCU's legal arguments for the appeal, and we've reopened the GoFundMe page. Note there is a new link here, and we'll look at this. This is the old page. James Cook University's new legal documentation continues to argue that they had the right to stop me saying that a couple of Great Barrier Reef science organizations had insufficient quality assurance systems to give the public trust in their work. Okay? So the university, why would the university stop him saying that? You know, can't they? Shouldn't you be able to make that claim? Isn't that the point of being a professor at university? It's free speech. We heard it, you know, I've suspected it for some time, but we also heard it from John Adams when I interviewed him the other day, just with regards to his economic education in the university. There's only one argument put forward here. In architecture, I'm noticing the same thing, or when I went through, well, there's a reason why I'm not tutoring anymore. And there's a very greenwashing tangent, there's a very social justice tangent. Architecture leans very heavily to the left. And it's probably my naivete. I thought educated people would realize that freedom and liberty leads to greater outcomes for everyone, but I guess they didn't. So, and back to this. They claim their code of conduct, which is actually a free speech straitjacket, gives them this power. JCU's legal argument is certainly sharper than in the original hearing, and we will have to go almost everything again, but we can't see any knockout punches. There will certainly be a great deal of work needed to be done by our legal team, led by Stuart Wood, AMQC. When you're up against an organization with effectively unlimited financial resources and who can hire a large team of very eminent barristers and solicitors, including one of whom I've been told is Australia's most highly paid lawyer, and a very large national law firm, no stones can be left unturned. That's the thing when you're dealing with lawyers. It's just a paperwork and shit throwing competition. Our best guess is that we will still need another 100K to cover all the legal work. I feel sick in the guts and embarrassed about having to ask for help again, but there is no choice. I am thus opening a new GoFundMe page for the extra work we need to get to the end of this appeal. If this ends up going to the High Court, it will all have to start again. Note the appeal is in the federal court, but I don't want to think about that now. The cost of this sort of action are horrific. And this is the thing with our legal system. This is the problem. There are advantages to having it, to being slow and onerous, but often you can get organizations that can have these codes of conduct and people can't fight it. Now, Peter, one thing he said in the speech he gave, one takeaway that he said, that I think was the most important thing of his entire speech, was that he considered himself, you know, an elder in the field. He was, you know, an older professional. So he had to be the voice. He had to be the voice to fight for freedom of speech, to fight for the academic freedom to discuss these things in public, to draw attention to these issues. Because the younger people coming up, well, their careers could be completely destroyed. And they can't do it. For him, you know, he's reached his height of his career. He can step back now, but he has a duty to do that. And I thought that was the best takeaway. That was a good mark of the man right there. So the first round cost about $550, of which Cheryl and I paid $280,000, most of Cheryl's superannuation fund. And that was with major discounts from our legal team. I mean, here you go, with all of this stuff, the lawyers are making the money, guys. You got to invest in any publicly listed law firms. The extra $100K for the new appeal is in addition to the $500,000 we have raised in this GoFundMe already. Thank you, and a few thousand others. As mentioned before, any funds left over will be put into a fund to help other academics or scientific dissidents who have found themselves in a similar predicament to me, Jared Schroeder-Turk from Murdoch University, which I'm not familiar with. Let me know in the comments, guys. And for scientific quality assurance processes. Also, if we win, our intention is to contribute the original $260,000 donated in the first round to that fund. Now, here's the other thing. Have a look at the replication crisis that is going on in scientific research at the moment. How difficult it is for people to replicate other scientific experiments. There's an issue going on around the world. You never hear about it in the mainstream media. Now, I am inherently skeptical of what information is provided to me by authority figures, and that has only been exacerbated by learning the truth about the dietary guidelines and information that has been provided to us by the government and by, experts. Once you go down that rabbit hole, look at Low Carb Down Under and some of the research they've uncovered, you'll become a skeptic as well. So, also, if we win, our intention... Yeah, I've already read that. Although this case has morphed into an argument about academic freedom, rather than whether the Great Barrier Reef is being killed by climate change and farmers, you should be in no doubt about its importance for those issues. Academics like me are being gagged around the world, and this is one reason that contrarian views about the reef or climate change are crushed by the establishment. That's the thing. We're seeing that here. We're seeing that in all aspects of media. We're seeing it in property, guys. You're seeing it in property. You're seeing it in food. You're seeing it in strategies for dealing with this illness. There are many people and organizations who could have ended this pointless legal fight. The Chancellor of JCU, who leads the University Council, is the first. He should tell his Vice-Chancellor that she is damaging the reputation of JCU. There is also the Queensland State Education Minister, because JCU operates under the State Act of Parliament. Then there is also the Commonwealth Education Minister, who is paying for most of JCU's legal costs because JCU is government funded. So there you go. I mean, you're funding through our taxes. This is where our taxes is going. To fight criticisms of organizations because of their QA processes. I mean, we know, you've heard all the hippies and like, oh, the reef is dying, it's not dying. Farmers are killing the reef, it's not, you can measure it. We need food, we need an economy. We can't all live like primitive Stone Age people. Life sucks, guys, life sucks living like that. Look at the history of Indigenous Australia and how their civilization had to survive, the quality of life they had before modernity arrived here. It was tough and brutal, and they should be respected for eking out a civilization and surviving as well as they did for as long as they did. It was very impressive. Because Australia's a desert, guys. It's not like the temperate Mediterranean where the biggest threat are wolves and other civilizations, so it forces up a technological innovation. Sure, you had winter, but I mean, winter starved out the lazies, So back to this. But none of them have lifted a finger. We might be abandoned by the people in power, but thanks to thousands of supporters, I reckon we'll win. Thank you for your support. And they've started a new GoFundMe page. GoFundMe here. And this is the new one, and he's already raised $522,000. You can see how the Fin Review was saying, in the headline, Climate Skeptic raises $300,000 in 24 hours. Now, I thought being a skeptic used to be a good thing. Being skeptical of things. Checking. Questioning. At least they didn't call him a denier. That's the term. That you can see how they psychologically use these terms and things. So let's have a look. It's the same thing. Same thing he's saying here. Oh, wait, is this different? Created November. Updated July 22nd. 4th of March. We've had a setback, but my lawyers have carefully gone over the judgment and believe there are numerous strong grounds for appeal to the High Court of Australia. We're reopening the fundraising campaign and we'll carry on with the legal action. By the way, although GoFundMe is an option for a tip, to GoFundMe, not me. You do not have to do this. So he's telling him, yeah, make sure you don't tip money to GoFundMe, guys. In the final analysis, I was fired for saying that because of systematic problems with quality assurance, work from the JCU Coral Reef Center, which also publishes extensively on climate change, was untrustworthy. What's wrong with that? Don't you want people questioning this? But it goes against the counter narrative. He's putting a heterodox opinion there against the mainstream, and there's lots of money in this, guys. We all heard about some businesses up in the reef getting millions of dollars, just thrown at them, and it's feel-good stuff. It's the Overton windows. People don't care about politics in Australia. Okay, we know that. The Overton windows shifted so far to the left. People care about the environment, even if they don't give a crap and they don't understand what they're talking about. It'll make them feel good. So the government will chuck money at that, win some votes, maybe flip a few people over in a swing seat, and there you're done. I believe what I said was true, and have given plenty of published evidence to support the statement. After I was fired, it was proven beyond doubt that I was correct when a group of 7 international scientists who audited 8 of the major studies from the JCU Coral Reef Center found them all 100% wrong. You can't get more scientifically untrustworthy than that, and we'll bring that up here. We'll look at that in... Oh, bugger, I can't see it. Oh, well, there you go. Let me know if you have access to that article, guys. I'd be interested in seeing it. I don't take the decision to appeal lightly. The financial and emotional costs are high, and legal action is fraught with uncertainty. In addition to the $300,000 Cheryl and I have spent on the case, I've received from about 4,000 people over $800,000. It is a matter that rests heavily on my conscience. Well, here's the thing. This will be exhausting. This would be exhausting, just dealing with lawyers and dealing with any of this stuff. We have an excellent chance, but we may lose. We might lose. There are, however, too many important principles at stake to walk away at this stage. So they're going to fight it. This case has already demonstrated a major problem with academic freedom of speech at a university. This ultimately affects what academics are prepared to say on controversial topics such as climate change or the fate of the Great Barrier Reef. The Commonwealth Government has already signalled its intention to consider adapting the French Review Model Code to prevent a similar case. This might be the most important long-term implication of the case. Ironically, even if we lose in the High Court, it will demonstrate beyond doubt that the work contracts at universities have the effect of crushing free speech. That's a good point. Even if he loses this, it could be a long-term win. So the suffering he's going through, the suffering Peter and his wife and his family are going through for this, could be worth it for the benefit of all of us. I don't envy him. The stress he might be going through. Chucking money, just pissing money away at lawyers for something like this, which has been proven. He's been proven right. He has been proven right. I've little doubt the Education Minister will have something to say about that once legal action is over. So even if we lose the High Court challenge, we still win the ultimate political battle. Thanks for your support. For those interested in the detailed 80-page judgment, here is the link. And we will look at that in potentially another video. Now, before everyone goes on, Florian, why you're, he's a climate skeptic. Why are you looking at it? And I'll link to this Fin Review article if you want to go through it. I think just the title is the most important thing. I want to draw your attention. To a TED Talk. And this is from, 2014? No, 2005. There you go. And Global Priorities Bigger Than Climate Change from Bjorn Lomborg. And this was my journey to be quite critical of a lot of what was put forward to me at university. We had to look and investigate, and this is back when you still had to have critical thinking at university. When, at least in architecture, you could put a counter-argument and not suffer academically for it. I managed to get a 7 for a subject, and I disagree with pretty much everything the lecturer said, but I put a solid case for it. And if you haven't watched this lecture, I suggest you have a look at it. I'm not worried about climate change. I think it's a slow-moving disaster that humanity can adapt and survive. I think we'll find solutions. I think there are much more critical issues that we need to address on a global scale. And I'd encourage you to have a look at this talk and let me know what you think in the comments below. So, do you think Peter's up for a win? Do you think academic free speech is an issue here in Australia? What are your experiences at university, everyone? Have you been following this case? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to support the content I create, there are a few ways you can. You can join the channel on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us using our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or Kucoin. You can buy merch from HeiseSays, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Thanks, everyone. I'll see you in the next episode.